Is James Harden the best player in the NBA? We'll start with you, Rick.
No. And I'm not even sure that he's the best scorer. He actually was on the floor last night with the best player in the game right now, and that's Kawhi Leonard, who can intimidate and control the game at both ends of the floor. James Harden doesn't come close to those. But we're also, because we're getting so excited about what is historic when it comes to James, if you start to parse the numbers and see how he's getting to that scoring average, he's leading the league by a long shot in three-point attempts. He's attempting 14 three-point attempts per game. The next guy is Kemba Walker, four less. And yet James is only shooting 31.8% from three-point range. Those are bad numbers. I want to say he's the best scorer in the league right now, and maybe he is by default, but it's certainly not an efficient way of operating. And if you skew everything where you're giving everything to one guy and he's either going to score or he's going to get the assist, then his numbers are going to look impressive. But when I look overall at what he's doing, I wish he'd spent less time shooting that wrong-footed one-off runner, three-point runner that we saw the tapes for. Oh, what are we going to do now? James is shooting off the wrong foot from three-point range. How are we going to stop that? He's not even shooting well squaring up.
I would be right there with you if they weren't winning, Rick. They're and they just beat a very good Clippers team.
A Clippers team that showed up and said, we're not taking you guys seriously. We can fall behind by 16 in the first quarter, and we can still come back and win this game. You guys aren't in our league. We've already demonstrated we're the best in the league. We're going to try to steal this one, and they nearly did. So I don't put a whole lot of stock in. By the way, last night's win by the Rockets, if you look at their record, that was the first quality win they've had. That's the first quality opponent that
LaVar, before you go, I want to frame it up for you.
Yep, sure.
Perhaps give you, and you can pass on this if it's no good. But what he's arguing is sometimes what you hear argued in football in terms of the weak side linebacker. Everybody's going to tie up their man so that guy can make all the tackles, and the whole system's geared around this one guy making the tackles. But the weak side linebacker, I still got to make the tackles.
Sure, got to make the tackles.
I got to make the plays.
That is
and so
true.
I don't know if it's a legitimate knock.
I would say only reason why I would agree with you is based on the percentage. That 31% is a tad bit damning, if you ask me, because
131st in the league.
That tends to say, you're going to win and lose based off of that. And if you're missing that many tackles as the weak side backer, it's probably going to be a really bad game for that defense. So I'm going to lean with AD. I'm going to stay right here in L.A. And I like Anthony Davis. And there's only three guys that are averaging 26 points and 10 boards, rebounds on the glass. His supporting cast makes it for it to be the best recipe for him to be the most dominant, continue to be the most dominant in this game right now. He's always been looked at as a tweener. We used that word on the show yesterday, but you look at him, you say, all right, he has the ability to go outside, but he also is looked at as a big man, and he gets that that responsibility so much. But having JaVale McGee and having Dwight Howard playing the way that he's playing, you have that length and you have that size. You have true bigs, and then obviously you have LBJ on the court. I think it's very difficult to look at AD as not the most dominant player, which to me equates to being the best in the game right now.
I can't go there because I think based off the start of the Lakers season, LeBron's their best player. And the conversation about the best player, to me, probably gets down to LeBron, Giannis, and Kawhi. I will say this. If James Harden finishes the year averaging 38 points a game and they've won 50 games, it's going to be hard for me to see because the media does love historical events.
Sure.
It helped Russell Westbrook get his first NBA triple-double. First time we've seen it in 30 years. And so if somebody, and I don't care how they do it, averages the most points since Wilt Chamberlain, that's going to sway some voters.
Well, this is where it gets tangled. And we went through this last year with the MVP race because we had Harden, who's just doing a little more than he did last year, but essentially a offensive threat, but arguably the most potent offensive threat, versus Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is operating at both ends, but isn't the same skilled offensive player that Harden is. But most valuable player to me is different than best player, best all-around player. When I look at what Kawhi Leonard is able to do, he's scared defensively. We need a lockdown.
LeBron's playing defense this year.
And I agree. And I would say if we're taking best player, that's why James Harden's not even necessarily in my top 2 or 3, because I would put LeBron there because he is playing at both ends. I'd still put Giannis in that conversation ahead of James.
Well, you know what's interesting about you guys talking about defense, since we're talking defense in basketball, guy that I just got dismissed on actually leads the league in blocks per game. He's at 2.9 per game. He does it on both ends. AD does it on both ends of the floor. So I don't think we should brush him off and say, okay, LeBron is the best. I think that it's a debate as to who's the best player on that team, which means in a lot of conversations, you got to respect AD in this conversation.
I would, I think talent-wise, AD is in the conversation. What LeBron has to do in making everybody better, I think the intangibles of what he has to do are far greater.
All right. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. And be sure to check out more of the best clips from Speak For Yourself, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.